This video is about how learning to manifest really changed my life, in not the way that manifesting literally changed my life, but how learning about it has impacted me in a number of ways that I'm so grateful for. When I talk to my friends and family about manifesting, they kind of laugh at me, and I am aware that it is a little ridiculous and woo-woo. I still totally believe in all of this, but there are some tangible ways that if you are struggling with this journey, I guess, just know that it's still life-changing in indirect ways. So where am I going with this? Hi guys, my name is Van Hoang and I'm an author. My books include Girl Giant and the Monkey King, Girl Giant and the Jade War, and the upcoming NTQ's Golden Claws Nail Salon, which is my first contemporary novel that's just about a nail salon and aunties and stuff, which is arguably just as magical as all of my other fantasy novels. I also have two books for adults. They're both historical fantasies. The first one is called The Monstrous Mrs. Mai, and it's about 4 women becoming witches in order to pay rent in 1959 Los Angeles. It's like my second pandemic baby, my first pandemic baby being my actual baby, and I enjoyed writing that book so much. It's probably one of my favorites that I really love. It's like the book of my heart. It's about friendships and witches, and during a time when I was really struggling with things like privilege and learning how to manifest your dreams, basically, before I really became more engrossed in the manifestation world. And then my second book for adults is Silver and Smoke, which is about 1936 old Hollywood and shamans and magic and demons as well. I just really love demons, apparently. They kind of show up in all of my stories. Anyway, though, let's get into the video. I'm here to talk about manifesting and how learning how to manifest changed my life in kind of indirect ways, but also maybe direct ways, because you actually don't know how to differentiate between the two. So what is manifesting? If you're watching this video, you probably already know what it is, but basically it's the idea that if you change your thoughts, you could really change your life, and you could make anything come true just by thinking about it, or just by imagining yourself in a different life. You could shift realities to become the person of your dreams, or to move into a different timeline where you have the best life possible. And I first learned about it, shout out to Akana, who is another YouTuber. I came across her videos because she makes very accessible videos on mental health and self-improvement, which is totally my jam, because I constantly feel like I need mental health first aid and self-improvement. Anna has a guidebook, and her guidebook is basically my introduction into manifesting and how I could reprogram my old thinking habits into newer thinking habits to change my life. Whether or not you believe in this stuff, you should give it a try. Some of the things that it taught was just how to meditate and to change your negative self-talk into positive self-talk, which is one of the biggest things I learned. It helped me to notice how much I was talking negatively to myself, how much of my thought process was just me criticizing myself and abusing myself. That alone really changed my life, because I became more self-aware. I noticed when I would start literally abusing myself, and by that I mean I was replaying things and ruminating on all of the bad things that have happened throughout the day, which was very unproductive. And later I learned that it's kind of a loop that my brain was stuck in, almost as if it was trying to replay events so that it could change them and hope for a better outcome, which is obviously impossible. Just because I replay it in my head doesn't mean I'm going to change the outcome. I would just abuse myself over and over in my own brain by imagining scenarios that happened. You know, when you're just like walking down the street and your brain is like, hey, remember that embarrassing thing that you did 10 years ago? Well, you suck. But it was just that over and over. Yes, it's funny, I joke about it, but it was really painful for me to be doing that all the time to myself, constantly, over and over and over. So becoming more aware of my self-thoughts and my self-criticisms and my negative self-talk was one of the life-changing things that this guidebook taught me to do, so that I could shift my negative self-talk into positive self-talk and to start being nicer to myself, like literally just being nicer to myself. This sounds so simple, but it just wasn't something I was doing. I was not being nice to me. I was so good at being nice to other people, to my friends and family, but to myself, I was not. I was the most abusive jerk, and it took a lot of meditating and a lot of catching myself thinking in order to realize this and to change it. A few years ago, I had come across Kristin Neff's book, which is about self-compassion and how it's actually even more important than self-esteem and confidence, because before you could really do anything, you need to calm down your nervous system and learn to be nicer to yourself and to just treat yourself with compassion. Learning about manifesting gave me permission, I guess, to be more self-compassionate again, which I know sounds really sad. Like I needed permission to be nice to myself, but it's true. I did need permission, and maybe you do too. And maybe watching this video will reveal to you through my own self-abuse, or maybe watching this video and seeing that you're not the only one, or maybe am I the only one who does this? Because I can't be alone, right? Like I might maybe I'm alone. Maybe I'm the only person who's done this to themselves. But maybe watching this, you realize that you're doing this to yourself and you need to stop. And you can also see that it's possible, because I had to learn what I was doing wrong and then I had to unlearn it. This next thing that I learned through learning how to manifest, and I mean that not lightly, as in it's changed my daily habits, it's changed my nighttime routines, even how I take breaks in my workday. It's called EFT tapping. And I've talked about this before. I'm not like an EFT expert. I'm not certified in coaching EFT or anything, but you could search up some videos, and there are lots of therapists out there who specialize in EFT. But it's called emotional freedom technique, and it's loosely based on acupuncture, but you tap on a series of points in your bodies that will help calm down your nervous system. And basically it's like a form of meditating that is more interactive. So if you have ADHD or you've found meditation to be kind of boring like me, I don't know if you can tell, but it's very hard for me to sit still or to focus. But EFT tapping for me really changed my life, because I now do this every day. I do a series of EFT taps in the middle of the day. I do a series of meditations at night. Since finding out about EFT, I don't think I've missed a day of doing it. Even if it's just for like 2 minutes, I will try to get in a tap before I go to bed. I've noticed that there are some days where I slack off on EFT tapping because I'm just so busy. And by the time I get home and I find some free minutes to do a meditation, I'm just so tired, like I'm gonna fall asleep while tapping on my face. And I have noticed that whenever I do that and I just slack off, the following day I'm so much more stressed and I'm so much more depressed and my moods are really shifty. I'll go about my day thinking like, why am I so sad and stressed out today? And it's because yesterday I didn't tap enough. I would not have found out about it if I hadn't been learning about manifestation and come across it on some Reddit thread about how somebody got better at manifesting because they incorporated EFT tapping into their lifestyle. And I was like, what's that? And then I went down this rabbit hole, because you could tap on anything and there are countless books out there. You could tap to lose weight, to decrease physical pains. And I have a lot of chronic pain due to overworking. I found it to be very helpful, but mostly I love the science behind how it lowers your cortisol levels. And in my own life, it's been very helpful, and it could just be placebo. It could just be me really wanting to believe in this thing, but I have found it very helpful. And just for that alone, I think it's worth looking into. The next one is that it led me to be indirectly motivated to become the person of my dreams, which is a lofty thing to state. But I was creating these affirmation bracelets, which sounds really silly, but it brings me so much joy to write out little sayings that make me happy and bring me more comfort and joy in my life. And wearing these bracelets on my wrists adds a pop of color to my outfit. And they're fun to make with other people. And that was a tangent into friendship bracelets. But what I was trying to say there was that when I was making a friendship bracelet, one of the sayings was, I am the woman of my dreams, because I was picturing this woman, and at the time I was struggling with a lot of things I wanted to improve upon, which was like my weight at the time and my fitness level. And over the past few months, I have started running again, and it's really changed my life in a number of different ways. And I used to be a runner, but I stopped for a number of years, and this time around that I'm getting back to it, I've just been doing a lot more research, being a lot more safe with it so that I'm not constantly injuring myself or constantly getting sick. And I keep using the word life-changing, but it has been really life-changing for me. I feel so much better about myself. I'm a better writer as well as a better runner. It's changed my body in ways that I didn't really set out to do. I just wanted to get back into running because I remember that I used to really love running, and I needed to find a way to being my old self again after struggling with some issues. This makes it sound very dramatic, like nothing really major has happened to me. I've just been struggling emotionally and mentally, as we all have after the world shut down, and there's a lot of things happening in the world, and I just needed to find a way back into being my old self again. It's like that Taylor Swift quote. I wouldn't have made that affirmation bracelet if I had not learned how to manifest. And by making that affirmation bracelet and just wearing something silly and cute on my arm, I really did become the woman of my dreams. I don't know why I'm laughing about that, because it's true. I really have. And that's something that learning to manifest helped me to do, is to just achieve a level of fitness and mental health that I wouldn't have otherwise. Mostly it's helped me to just be more grateful, because I know that gratitude is a huge deal, and in all psychological fields of study, positive thinking and being grateful is really helpful in mental health improvement. But learning how to manifest really nailed it in for me. I kept a gratitude journal, and I kind of let that fall out of habit, but I'm going to do that again. It's definitely helped me to notice when I'm feeling especially grateful, and it helped me to start something called a book of delights, which is where you write down all the delightful things that you found in your life, and you deliberately deliberately go out and try to find 5 delightful things in your day. I only stopped the Book of Delights because it started to become more of a chore, but I found it very delightful to keep something like that. So I'm not opposed to picking it back up again. It's just I also have this toxic need to track everything and to be productive. I wanted to reel back from that a little before this became another toxic thing that I needed to keep track of. And learning to manifest just helped me to lead a happier life as a whole, because I think one of the things it unlocked in me was the idea that I didn't have to cling on to my sadness. I suffered from chronic depression for most of my life, and I have been through a number of therapies and medications. And so it became this internalized identification for me where I really identified as this depressed person, and it just became a part of my soul. And somehow I felt like if I was not depressed, then I was not the person that I really am. It just really became a part of my identity. But learning how to manifest made me realize that it doesn't have to be part of my identity, that I could actually let this go. In fact, I've been in remission for a number of years, and I could now accept the fact that I'm definitely not depressed now. So I don't have to cling on to this idea that I am a depressed person, and letting it go really helps me to understand that I am allowed to feel joy. It almost gave me permission to be a happy person. And just for that alone, it really unlocked something that has become life-changing for me, that has improved my life in ways that I didn't set out to do when I first learned how to manifest. Why did I even get into manifesting in the first place? Well, when I first learned about this idea that you could change your thoughts to achieve all of your dreams, I had a lot of hopes and goals and tangible projects and things and successes that I really wanted desperately to happen in my life. A lot of these goals were very materialistic. Obviously, I still want these successes to happen. I just wanted to be happy, and I wanted to live a carefree life with my family. I felt really burnt out and overworked when I first learned about all this stuff. I wanted to be able to travel when I wanted, and I wanted to be able to buy everything that I needed. In learning to manifest, I learned that I have already manifested, if that makes sense. But now I still have some successes and goals that I want to achieve for the future. I just don't want them so desperately as I did when I first learned how to manifest. Which isn't to say that I still don't have these goals and these desires for these successes to come true. It just means I'm just so much happier now that I don't care so much. And then it helps me to realize that I already live the life that I've always wanted. And for that alone, I think it was really worth it to get into all of these techniques and to learn about all this stuff in and of itself. I tend to hyperfixate and obsess on things when I first learn about them. So if it hadn't been manifesting, it would have been something else. And this was not time that I feel was wasted. I learned a lot, and it led me to learning about so many psychological fields of study, which is also another topic that I really enjoy learning about. And it led me to so many different books and to different people and to things that I wouldn't have learned about and people that I wouldn't have met if I hadn't been talking about all this stuff. I met a girl at a meetup, and she was very into tarot cards, and I wouldn't have gotten into tarot cards if I hadn't learned about manifesting. One caveat about manifesting is that there are a lot of creators out there who use it as a way to manipulate audiences into spending money or into engaging activities because you want so badly for something to come true. And I don't believe in that at all. I think you should do your own research, and whenever there is money exchange, especially when it's money coming from your hands into someone else's pockets, you should be very wary of what that person's intentions are. So I'm not out here telling you to go and believe in whatever manifestation techniques that you might come across. I'm here to say that learning to manifest opened my eyes to a lot of ideas and to a lot of things that I wouldn't have learned about otherwise. And I think that you should keep an open mind and be flexible and see if any of these can be incorporated into your life to help improve it. But of course, you should always do your own research whenever you come across a new idea or technique. I hope that this video helped you in some way. Like I said, I'm not really an expert in anything. The only thing I'm an expert in are my books that I've written myself, which are based on kind of my childhood experience. Obviously, I didn't meet the Monkey King or have this life-changing experience with demons and Vietnamese mythological gods and creatures and everything, but in my dreams, I might have. The Monstrous Mrs. Mai, which is literally the book of my heart and my pandemic baby that I wrote in a time when I was struggling with the idea of privilege and success and actually manifesting. It's about 4 women who accidentally become witches in order to pay rent in 1959 Los Angeles. I wrote that book before I learned about manifesting, but it feels now almost like I manifesting. Like I came up with this story idea, and then I realized that this form of magic kind of already exists in a way. My videos are all about self-improvement and productivity. So if you're into that stuff, please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment or a question and I will try to answer. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.